All right, I'm back. You can tell that I filled it in. I have a little bit of spots of white here, but I'm not worried about it. You already have your accessory sheet. Like I said, if you don't want to do what I'm teaching you, that's totally fine. We're going to start at the top and work our way down, and we are going to start with the top hat. So the nice thing that I want you to be able to see is this is a curved line. We talk about, in the classroom all the time, we talk about as an artist, look at what you see. What does it look like? What shape is it? What kind of line it is? It just helps you become a better artist, to be observant. So now you're going to take your round brush, and if you want to use a smaller one, you can, but I'm going to stick with this bigger one. And my paints have been here for now about 2 hours, and they look kind of like they're a little bit of a dry, but what I want to show you is if you take and move that around, it's fine. I don't know if you can see that as well. So it's a little dry, but I'm going to stir it around. Like I said, it's been sitting here for 2 hours. Yours will not be sitting there that long. So this is already dry. And we talked about having your hand gently on here if it's dry because it helps guide and gives you a steady hand. Now you're going to have, and draw with your finger if you need to, we're going to draw a slanted, curved is more interesting as an artist, line across the top part of your snowman's head. And this is going to be the brim. And you want to pull this away. Okay. And you want just a little bit of paint. And if you start out towards the outside and work your way in, it'll create a straighter line. And there is the brim. Now I see a little bit of white underneath. I'm going to keep pulling that across there. Okay, now the top part of the hat, what I want you to see is it's kind of the shape of a rectangle, but you don't want it to have a straight line. You want it to curve in. So I'm going to show you what I mean first. You're going to start at the top. Now see where the circles are right here? From these circles, you're going to go up. But I want you to curve that in a little bit. And then it gets bigger on the outside. So start at the outside of that circle, curve, and go out. Now that one went out a lot. That's okay. I kind of like the way that looks. And at the top, you're going to join those two lines together. Okay? So I'm joining them together. Go from the left and the right. And then you're just going to fill it in. And we're going to work from the top to the bottom. That way, if you want to go back in later and add a ribbon to your hat, which if you look at my example here, just a second here, there is a ribbon. So, but you have to paint the hat first so it'll dry, and you can go back in and add your detail. So I'm filling in, covering all that up real good. And after that, I would clean my paintbrush and do the nose. Because or you can just, let's just go ahead and keep it. When I did it, I actually did the nose, but let's do the eyes. Because we already have our paintbrush dirty. So, no, dirty, well, paint on it. So now we're going to do the eyeballs. And you just want 2 circles. You really want them to be the same size as best you can. So there's 1, there's 2. Okay? And after that, you're going to need to have, now I know why I did the nose first. So we'll probably do the nose, it doesn't matter, but the nose first because you want to have space. So I'm going to go ahead and clean my brush, change my mind, and I can't redo this video because I've already got it painted. So maybe I'll remind you to do your carrot nose first. Now this is when I would come in and I would use my smaller brush because I'm going to do a carrot nose. So there's my orange. And we talk about it is a triangle, but it's a soft triangle. So if it helps you, and you can have your nose go off your face or have it just stay right on your face. Curve meaning right there on the end of that triangle, it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be a curved line. You can always go in and make your nose bigger, but you cannot make it smaller. That's why we talked about less is more. At the end, if you want to go back in and add detail on your nose, you can, meaning little black stripes on the carrot. Then I would go back and clean it. So I will probably mention this before I start the video to do the carrot nose first. Then you can guide where your face is. Now with this little brush, I will go back in and I will do my dots. And I have my hand gently sitting on here, and I'm just lightly picking up just tiny, teeny little dots. Okay? You can hardly see it on the video. I'm peeking and I can't very see it very well. If you want to make them bigger, you can. Then I would clean my brush. Now the next thing that we're going to do is, I'm looking at my notes that I have on my computer screen. You're going to do your stick arms. So I'm going to stir this around a little bit because mine's been sitting here quite a long time, and I only need a little bit. Now what I want you to think of when you do your arms is it's a stick, and you want it to actually sit in your snowman. But you're going to make the letter Y, and it's kind of a crooked Y. So there is the top, the left part of my Y, and I'm going to make this other side shorter because it makes it look more like a stick. Shorter, and then come down. And watch, I'm going to go right in on my snowman because it's actually sitting in there. And there is one arm. Okay? The reason why I'm having you paint and you can either start at the bottom, work your way up, or start at the top. Doesn't matter. The reason why I'm having you paint the arms first is if that way, if you want to go back in and do your mittens, then it will be dry. I'm going to teach you how to do mittens. So there's that part of the arm. And then see how I have that's a crooked Y? Clean my brush again. And look at how he's coming to life here. And after we do the stick arms, we're going to do the scarf. You can, if you have a tinier flat brush, like I said, I wish that I could have a bunch of these for everybody to use, but if you have a smaller one, you can use a smaller flat one, or you can use your round. I'm going to use my round, and I'm going to use purple. So see how I'm turning this around? Stirring my paint because it's been sitting there a little bit, only having it on the tip of the brush, and you're going to come in and this curved line is going to be right underneath, and you can decide it's right underneath your snowman's head. Basically you're going on top of that original gray line that you put there. You can, what I was trying to say earlier is you can make this as thick as you want. The round brush works quite well. And I'm going to go all the way around. And you try to make it as even as you can. So there is my, right now, kind of looks like he has a collar. Okay? Excuse me, I've got to wipe my nose here. Okay. So he has the collar. Now you're going to come in, if you look at my scarf, I have one going down and one going out. If you look at this other one that I did, I have both of them going down, but they're curved line. Remember, curved is more interesting. So I'm going to take and get more purple. I'm going to have it, you want it to be the same thickness as the top part of the scarf. And I'm just bringing it down. You decide how long you want that scarf. Now, do you see how I'm taking this and I'm just doing a little bit of tassels? You can either get your teeny tiny brush and do that, or if you feel comfortable, try it with the bigger brush. And I'm going to do the same thing, and I like it where it looks like it's blowing in the wind. This is another reason why I like to have your stick arms drawn first. There's my little tassels, and see how it's harder to see on top of the blue. So I'm going to clean my brush again, and we are almost done. Now, if you look, my black is still wet, so I wouldn't be able to put that bow on there, or the ribbon across there. Clean my brush, wipe it. Now I'm going to do red. And if you want to add like trees in the background, you can totally do whatever you want. You can do a swirly sky with white, like Vincent's Starry Night, which we've studied last year, one of our Artists of the Month. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just doing little circles. The buttons. If you want to go back in and add more detail with little black dots, you can. Any color you want. I wouldn't put white on top of white, though. You won't be able to see it. Okay, so now we have the everything's filled in except for the and you could go back and add little dots on there. All right, cleaning my brush. Remember, at any time, if you think you need clean water, raise your hand and somebody will come around and get you some more water. See how, now look, you have a whole stack. You could take this off, wad it up, and use the next one. That's why you have a nice pile of paper towels. And the last thing, if you look on the one that like I said, just a simple basic one, is the glove. And the glove is kind of the same step as doing the hat. You start with, and I think I'm going to do, you can use this brush or you can use your little one. I think I'm going to try this bigger one. And I'm going to use green. Stir it around if you need to. Only get it on the edge of your brush. Make sure it's not clumpy. You don't want to have clumps on top of your, and you can bring it out a little bit, smooth it out on your plate like you see what I did. You're going to start with, you decide how far down on your Y you want your gloves, your mittens, and I just draw a straight line, just a short line. And then I come over here and do the same thing, straight line across. Now if you look at that mitten, it kind of looks like the shape of an oval shape. So I'm going to come in, let's start at the top, and it's basically like an upside down U, and you fill it in. Upside down U, and you fill it in. There we go. Same thing on this side. Now you want to think about if you actually wore mittens, where would the thumb be? Would my thumb be on the bottom, or my thumb be on the top, or maybe you just, doesn't really matter, you put your gloves on kind of silly. And see, I'm going back in, I'm adding a little thicker so I don't see that brown. That's okay to do. Or you can wait till it dries and come back in. Do a little dot for my thumb. Little dot for my thumb. Ah, he looks awesome. Okay, now you can do whatever you want on the sky. You can write something. Writing with a paintbrush is kind of difficult to do, but if you think you're the master at it, that's fine. Cleaning my paintbrush. And the last thing that I need to do is add in some snow. Oh, and I need more white. Maybe I do have a little bit of white. Now with this one, I did the swirl, like the Vincent Starry Night. You can do that. You don't have to have anything in there. And with this one, I did dots. And what I like to point out is snow, when you paint it, think about if you were actually in the snow, you would have a bunch together. You had them spread out, and it might land on your snowman too. So the last thing that we have to do is go in and add your snow. And you want to be careful because some of this is wet. So, and you also might want to do this. I would suggest probably doing this. That way you're not reaching over your beautiful snowman that you've done. And just kind of very carefully, just do little dots. Like I said, you don't have to do this if you want to. It just adds a nice little snow scene to it. And hopefully you have enjoyed your evening. I'm kind of doing them in a row. You can do however you want though. You can, oh, that's a little too small. Hopefully you've enjoyed your evening with your child. Once again, thank you so much for coming out. And if you ever want to get online and check Mrs. Milligan's Art Studio, I'm on Facebook and also on YouTube. So I'm going to finish this. I kind of like doing the rows. And you can go back in, add your detail, sign it on the back. I'm going to put a little bit. Now see how that hat is still wet. If you look at it right here, see where you can see that sheen? I would have to wait to add my ribbon until I had it all dry. But I'm going to come in, I'm going to put a little bit of a dot because I like to have that snow on top of his hat. And that's it. If you have questions for me with this video running, I'm hopefully going to be able to walk around, talk to everybody. Like I said, this is the first time that I've ever done this. We were so excited that we had such a good turnout. Surprised. Didn't think about 75 people. And hopefully we'll be able to do this next year, but we probably will not have this many people because it's too hard. It's going to be a little difficult, but we're going to make this work. And there you go. And if you want to put 2 snowmen on there, it's up to you. But this is, like I said, just teaching the basic one. There's my sample that we just worked together. And here's my original one. Have a good night.